wanted to make sure that my girls learned the proper technique because someday one of them is going to be a showgirl.
I feel the sun kiss on my skin.
By now, we're probably all familiar with the show Dance Moms, and a lot of us have probably heard of scenes from Dance Moms that crossed the line and were scrubbed from history, such as the time Abby made fun of Chloe's eye, which resulted in Chloe leaving the show. But one episode crossed a line so controversial that it was pulled from reruns and remains one of the most infamous moments in the show's history.
Take them. There's a certain way to hold the fans, a certain way they bend the feathers.
Today we're diving into the Topless Showgirls episode, the performance that had fans, parents, and critics alike questioning Abby Lee Miller's choices for her young dancers. Now, of course, we've come to realize with this show that Abby cannot be blamed for every decision that looks like it was her choice. Production definitely made a lot of decisions on this show and kind of forced people to do things, but in this video, we'll explore the shocking events that unfolded in this episode, from Vegas-style showgirl costumes that seemed to sexualize the young performers, to the backlash that led to the episode being banned from reruns. We'll break down the moment that sparked public outrage and how it changed the future of Dance Moms forever. So stick around to find out why this episode is still a topic of conversation, and how Abby's infamous showgirl performance nearly ruined the legacy of the Dance Moms franchise. So let's jump into it. So the episode that we're going to be talking about is the Topless Showgirls episode, and this was season 2 of Dance Moms. It happened in episode 9, and it's one of the most controversial episodes of the show's history, and I would say probably the number one, hence it being banned. So for a little background, the episode aired in 2012 and centers around the girls performing a Vegas-style showgirl routine, and Abby Lee Miller, always known for her dramatic and over-the-top choreography, pushed the boundaries by designing costumes and a performance for her dancers that many people found incredibly inappropriate given the age of the dancers, which I believe they were about 6 to 13 at the time, with Mackenzie being around 6 and Brooke being about 13. And the concept was that it was going to be a routine based on, glitz and glam of Las Vegas showgirls. However, the costumes designed by Abby were highly provocative. Like, we're talking featuring costumes that had simulated toplessness, nude, mesh fabric.
Hide and look over there. I'm hot. I'm mean. It's crotch, boobs. You can't have me. You can't afford me.
I think the pink fans are really cool because they're really big and we've never really worked with them before.
And I remember seeing this episode and I was blown away that they even aired this on TV, especially given that it was kids. But the young girls were wearing like sequined bikinis, and it was meant to make it look like they were topless on stage, like a fan dancer. If you've ever seen the fan dancers with like the fans that come in and out and are supposed to cover their tops, but otherwise they're topless, and gives the illusion of full nudity.
Try this side, Ariel, because you can push your arms up behind you.
Living all of her dreams vicariously through our
I
children.
know!
This is Abby's showgirl dream.
I think this is.
But the idea was to evoke this showgirl image of older Las Vegas performances, but it was definitely way too inappropriate for children. And I remember they had a Vegas showgirl come in, and that Kelly was super excited because she thought that Paige would be a good showgirl, or Abby thought that Paige would be a good showgirl. I don't know, it was very weird considering they were talking about literal children.
Melissa.
Imagine her as a showgirl. Oh,
Could you imagine her topless?
my eyes.
You've seen it. Yes, I have.
Want to visualize that. That's scary.
But as soon as this episode aired, there was an immediate and very intense backlash from parents, advocacy groups even, and the general public. Viewers felt that Abby had sexualized the young girls, exploiting their bodies for entertainment value.
I don't like this. It's like, here we are. We're naked.
While Dance Moms had always pushed the limits with choreography and costumes, this episode crossed a line that was like way too far for a lot of people, and I think that this actually lost a lot of their viewers over this as well. But Parents of the dancers expressed their discomfort and outrage even in the episode, especially as the girls had been put into costumes that resembled those worn by adult performers in nightclubs and casinos.
That's a big PK, Maddie. What are you doing?
Does Maddie like being naked?
No.
Does it bother her? Because
Yes.
Paige came home and was like, I'm very uncomfortable doing that.
The biggest critique was the choice of costumes, which we talked about already, simulated upper body nudity, and they were not appropriate for girls that age. And I don't think that they would even be like an appropriate topic for girls that age to know about, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts again down in the comments below. But
Maddie, your whole butt's sticking out in the back, and it should be covered. And
Oh, I don't like that part. Oh, geez. Oh, my. Oh.
at that point, the show's audience was largely made up of families with children, and many parents were uncomfortable with the direction the show was taking. And I know that this show was originally supposed to be all about the moms and the drama, but they did start to realize quite early on that there were a lot of younger people watching the show because of the dancers, so I think they tried to cater to that, but Dance Moms is definitely not like a children's friendly show, even though there was kids on it. Like, there's intense violence, aggression, yelling, screaming, manipulation, like you name it. Not children's topics, in my opinion, but Chloe's mother, Christy, who we all know, Christy Lukasiak, she spoke out, and she was one of the loudest critics of the routine for sure. She argued that the Vegas showgirl routine wasn't appropriate for children, let alone for a group of young girls in their early teens, or some of them, like, I guess one was in their early teens, probably. The rest were literally young girls. In the episode, Christy voiced her concern over the inappropriateness of the costumes and Abby's decisions to put it on stage. Christy's disapproval was one of the moments that stuck out, as she directly called Abby out for her choices, leading to even more tension between the two. And, of course, Holly.
Oh. I think it's over the top. I think it's unnecessary, uncalled for, too much. And is this all worth it?
But let's talk about the performance itself. Despite the backlash, the girls went on to perform the routine at a competition. However, the costumes and the choreography remained a focal point of conversation. And I'm not sure which competition would not ban this number, but again, another thing for discussion. I feel like maybe this is even tame for the dance competition world these days, but I still see like ethical dance competitions actually banning numbers that are about like extreme violence or topics like this that are not appropriate, or like self-harm, stuff like that, things that don't belong at a dance competition.
She's dreaming that she's naked under there. And
The controversy definitely overshadowed the actual performance. The audience reaction was certainly mixed, with some people finding the costumes in the routine way too suggestive for young performers.
go! Strut!
While it wasn't outright banned immediately, like this episode, this is the crazy thing. They went through the choreography, decided it was okay. They found a competition, decided they were still going to go through with it, heard out the moms and their complaints, still decided to push forward. Then they found a competition. The competition didn't ban the number. They allowed it to perform. They allowed it to compete. Still kept pushing forward. They recorded the entire episode, edited the episode, and still decided to air the episode. And I'm just like, at that point, it's like, hello? Is anybody using their brain over at this television network? Like, sure, it's one thing to ban the episode, but, like, you aired the episode in the first place. That's the crazy point.
Look, I can't see. Look.
They pulled the episode eventually, and we're talking about like after crazy massive public outcry. The controversy surrounding the showgirl performance led to a permanent removal of the episode from pretty much every single digital platform. I don't think it's available anywhere, and it became one of the most talked about and disputed moments in the Dance Moms franchise. The sexualized nature of the routine and the costumes for young children was seen as a public relations nightmare for both Lifetime and the show's producers. And I'm just like, well, duh. The network faced pressure to distance itself from the scandal to maintain its family-friendly image, which, in my opinion, didn't really have one, but at the time there were concerns about child exploitation in entertainment, particularly when it came to reality TV and how young dancers were being portrayed. So in my opinion, Dance Moms definitely did not fit family-friendly or child type entertainment. If you were watching this, you should have been a parent, or you should have been the guardian of a child that was watching it, because you're, I don't know, supervising them while they're watching this. Because this is definitely not a show that children should have been watching on their own. Like, if the audience thought that the electricity number was scandalous, then this episode blows that one out of the water. And I think that, honestly, this just shows the dark intent of the producers behind this. They would do literally anything to get views on this show, and it's almost as if they saw all of the backlash from the electricity episode, because you couldn't just ignore that. And they were like, let's capitalize on that and shock the viewers even more by exploiting the children even more. So I'm like, yeah, no forgiveness, no free pass for the production. They went through this entire thing, edited it, posted the damn episode, and went along business as usual, as if that was a totally appropriate episode to post. But let's talk about the aftermath of Abby Lee Miller's reputation after this. Well, Abby Lee Miller, known for pushing boundaries, obviously, didn't face immediate professional consequences, but this incident was one of many that contributed to the growing controversies surrounding her and the Dance Moms brand. Like, she lost memberships to, like, every dance association, including Dance Masters of America, and I'm just gonna take a hunch that this was probably the reason why. Although it's not directly related to this episode, Christy would eventually leave the show. Many fans believe that this incident definitely helped fuel Christy's growing disillusionment with Abby's behavior and influence on the girls, like, from the get-go, but this episode remains one of the most infamous moments in Dance Moms history and in, like, pageant-type reality TV show history. It sparked larger conversations about the sexualization of children in entertainment and the responsibility of shows like Dance Moms to protect young performers. This episode is definitely not in circulation anywhere, like it's not on streaming platforms or anything, rightfully, but the Topless Showgirls episode represents a critical moment in the Dance Moms narrative where the show pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable when it came to its young performers. It serves as a very pungent, let's say, reminder of the tension between reality TV spectacle and the moral and ethical responsibility of networks and producers when they're dealing with minors in the entertainment industry. I want to know what you guys think of this episode, if you saw this dance, if you saw this episode way back in the day, and do you think it should have been banned? Or do you think that this should have resulted in, like, Dance Moms going off air? Let me know in the comments down below.